Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Political Inaccuracy Podcast. Now in Season 2. We're like a year and a half late on that. I am sort of sorry. But you know what? It's here now. So better late than never, I guess. I don't really know. But as you might be able to tell, by the way, I am, of course, Deaglan DiMurro. But by the fact that I am doing this intro would sort of lead to indicate that, of course, our former host, Jimmy Sullivan, is no longer around to be doing this podcast with us. He graduated actually 2 years ago, class of 2017. He is currently very happily attending his second year at Fordham. He's doing very well there, actually doing a lot involved in broadcasting and that sort of field. So, of course, just a quick shout-out to him. As well as to Connor DiGiacomo, who has also graduated. He graduated last year, class of 2018, from our high school. So being the fact that those two aren't really around here anymore, I don't get to see them too often, they're not going to be regular features on the show. That being said, I haven't discussed this with them at all, but allow this to sit as my open invitation for either of them to let me know of any times that they'd be available to record, because of course we'd love to have them back on. We had a lot of fun conversations with them back in season 1. Actually, that goes as well for John Burke. We'd like to see him back here if ever possible. But with all that out of the way, I will be presiding as host for this season and most likely for the seasons to come. That's if they ever happen. Probably going to be a year and a half late, but again, maybe if we can get to them down the line. However, this season, I am not going in totally alone. Of course, as I've mentioned, we're planning to have a plethora of guests come along with us. But in addition to that, I would like to welcome now our assistant to the regional host, Frankie Firneno. So,
how you doing, Deaglan?
I think I am all right. Well, Frank,
Wait 1 second. Sorry, I just like to make one change. It's assistant regional host.
To the regional host.
Look, it's
okay. It's your first episode. Let's get a little further in before we start like making claims to authority.
We'll see.
Anyway, just a quick note on Frank, why I've asked him to be here. Frank is, first of all, he's a great guy. He's a very fun person to talk with, and I think he's one of the few people, at least definitely around my life, who you can talk to and not be hit with a completely partisan brick wall, for lack of a better term, in the sense that he's down to discuss anything, and he's again, for lack of better terms, he's not going to be annoying about it. You know, he's willing to have a conversation, and I think what makes this podcast so well, why everybody had so much fun in the first season is, well, we all had differing opinions. Everybody was willing to learn, and everybody understood that they had something to learn. And I think that's what I find really great about Frank. So I'm really happy to have him here. I mean, in addition to that, he's a fun person to talk to. He's probably one of the few people who you can talk relatively serious discussions with, some political, some not, and still actually get quite a good laugh out of the conversation. So, again, we really appreciate you coming by this season. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really happy to be here, but you made a perfect point, though. It is kind of hard to find people that are just willing to have a conversation, open to learning things, and some people are just so very, stubborn on their opinions, and it gets tough to figure out. It's tough to negotiate with them and have a good conversation a lot of times.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? I mean, that's what we spent. I pretty much the entirety. Look, I'll be honest. I really don't go back in my free time and watch the original season again. I've seen each of the episodes after posting them, just for the sake of re-listening to them. But I probably haven't done that in at least a couple months. But from what I recall, that's what we spent a large portion of our time talking about. And in the first episode last year, is what qualifies as political inaccuracy. I mean, that's what we chose to name the podcast. Back in that sense, it probably had a little bit of a different connotation more geared toward the fact that like people, particularly of our age, which would be like late teenage, are starting to get interested in politics, even if they don't know that it's politics, but like the ongoings of like society. But they really have like no grasp on what most of it is, like no real understanding of like half of what you hear out there is going to be completely left or completely right or whatever. And really we just wanted to take some time to address that. That was like the initial point of this show, is that it was like, hey, let's take some time, let's address some of those things, and let's approach interesting topics that people are willing to discuss about. In like, I mean, again, we all have our leanings, but in the end, it's nonpartisan, what we choose to do here, and we want to do things that we find as interesting, that we find as fascinating, because it's the only way you're going to get people engaged. Is if you get to the interest of the people, you pique the interest of the people. So, again, that was the initial point of the show, and we're definitely we're following suit in that a little bit this year. Just to address some changes that are going to happen, along with bringing on Frank, of course, who will hopefully be a staple for pretty much most of our episodes. I don't know that he's going to be able to make every single one of them, but I'd like to have him here as often as possible.
That'll be the goal, try and get as many as possible, I hope.
I would hope so, certainly. In a few episodes' time, I want to make no promises, because I know that every time I make a promise on this channel, it gets like failed horribly. So actually my idea would be that if I don't promise, it's more likely to become true. But that being said, within a couple episodes, I don't know how frequently we're going to be able to record. We're going to try to do once a week. I don't know how well it's going to work. Like, I'll just say that up front. We're going to try our best. If we can even get like 2 a month out, that'd be great. But we're going to try once a week. Probably by episode 4, episode 5, we're talking like mid to late January, we'd like to actually sort of start to experiment now with video. We're going to start incorporating video and like clips and like that, stuff like that, into the podcast. But we're going to actually, at that point, as I said, mid to late January, try to upgrade to full-on video, having actual cameras here with us in our quote-unquote studio. Actually, I didn't even think about that. We're going to have to fix things up here a little bit in order for it to be like even remotely appealing to see in the background. But I guess we'll figure something out. But
you're not a big fan of the Michael Scott? You missed 100%
that's true.
of the shots you don't take?
Yeah, there is in fact a Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott quote on the wall, which I don't think really could offend anyone. As well as there are a whole bunch of little posters on parts of speech and prefix, suffix, idioms, adjectives.
Yeah, if anything, you'll be just learning more.
There you go. Right, this podcast is all about learning. So let's just ensure that we learn as much as possible in every way we possibly can, including in the background subliminal messaging. In the videos. But yes, so we are going to try to upgrade the video at some point. I think there was something else I wanted to hit on there along that line. Maybe not. Yeah, we're going to try to do video. Also, yeah, okay, here's what it is. A slightly shifting message. So, of course, we just, I sort of readdressed what the original political inaccuracy was intended to mean. It's going to shift a little bit here. I think the point this season, we're still definitely going to address relatively political things, and we're going to incorporate them into our discussions because, again, I find them fascinating. I think Frank could agree that he finds them fascinating. But like it's important to get into dialogue. But I think I would like to spend a lot more time just about things that in general are interesting, right? About showing people a part of life that maybe they haven't seen before or they haven't ever, really addressed. So, like my classic go-to is just about like water towers, what people don't know about water towers. And it's silly, but I think Frank, I've told you this before. I'm not going to go into it now. I'll wait until we have somebody on who hasn't heard my little spiel about water towers and how fascinating they are. And like the hot and cold spigot on a faucet or on a shower, and like how that works and why it works without electricity. It's fascinating, if you know what you're looking for, which most people don't. And as I said, like you talk about water towers, most people couldn't be bothered to listen to the whole thing, but it goes somewhere.
Well, actually, when you told me your whole quote unquote water tower spiel, it actually like made me conscious of it now. So I mean, anytime I go down to the Jersey Shore or anywhere where there's a lot of water towers, I actually look at it and I'm kind of like, like I look at it kind of interested in it now. It's kind of odd that I never thought about
Frank
it
now
once.
studies water towers professionally.
That is true. I actually will stare at them for hours at a time and just take notes.
That's actually true story. I don't know, Frank, how many people in your life know this. I'm gonna kind of spill the beans now. Hope you don't mind. Of course, right? We're in. I think there's no problem saying this. We're in our senior year of high school. The whole like college application process is quite daunting, quite overhanging. Frank, we were just having a conversation earlier. He actually plans to pursue water towerology professionally in college, and I mean I think it's a fascinating subject, and the fact that you're willing to devote your life to the study of these magnificent architectural
beauties.
beings.
They're beautiful. Honestly, you got tall ones, got short ones, you got fat ones, you got round ones. There's so many different kinds that the possibilities are endless.
It's poetic.
I know.
I think here's for me what's interesting. If you ask somebody in this is true. I think. I don't know. I really haven't verified this, but I heard it once and I believe it. And you should verify it on your own time and tell me if it's true. If you ask somebody in like a town or a suburb what a water tower is, Frank, what's a water tower? Like if you had to describe it physically.
Well, it's a large tower that's filled with water.
How would you describe, like, what does it look like?
Oh, well, like it's got like four or three legs that rise up probably about 30 feet, and then there's a big kind of like a bowl of just water in it with like a spout at the top, and you can climb up it.
A giant, almost like, I don't want to say funnel, but like it's there's a large structure that's elevated
a
lot in the air, and only maybe the top half of it is the actual like water containing structure. The rest of it is just like the towers that hold it up. If you ask somebody in a city, in an urban area, what a water tower is, they will tell you simply that it's just a giant water tank at the top of their building.
Oh, because you're right. Because water towers are on the top of a lot of apartment buildings. I've seen at least. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So like that's it has. I mean, some suburban water towers take like a silo sort of shape, where the whole thing is actually the water tower. In fact, the one in my community is like that. But like I understand that's actually not even like the typical image of the water tower. See what I mean? We're getting so deep into the logistics of water towers. It's fascinating.
It's really not even like it's just like interesting. Different areas of people they think of things differently. It's just kind of like
language,
exactly.
Language barriers and dialects, and for me, like these sorts of things are the most fascinating because it's not even like a difference in distance or like a difference in region so much. Right? You're not talking about somebody from the Northeast and somebody from the Southwest. You're talking about somebody from like per se like Westchester, New York, or like Nassau County, versus somebody from Manhattan or Brooklyn. Like, exactly. I mean, those are in extreme proximity to one another. But just like the difference between living in a suburban area or an urban area changes your view completely on what we've, I think, established to be the most magnificent thing in life, water towers. I now come to realize that there was like a very lengthy tangent that I remember now going on in our first episode of last season on, I think, like white asparagus. It was either white asparagus or pale asparagus or something like that. And I made some very strange analogy to it. And then we went off for at least a couple minutes, like discussing the logistics and like possibility of pale asparagus. It's now occurred to me that we've just done that same thing, but with water towers.
Hey, man. Water towers trump pale asparagus, all I got to say.
That's, well, I don't know. We're going to leave that up to the folks in the comments. What are you more interested? What would you rather us dedicate this entire season to? Talking about pale asparagus or talking about water towers? Because I've run the numbers. We really can only do one or the other.
Yeah.
So we want to know.
This town ain't big enough for the both of them. It's either one of them.
Exactly. I feel the same way. So, along that vein, I think we hit in there somewhere. Just the notion again, like we're seniors, college applications, it's happening to us, and I think that's the appropriate way of addressing it. It's happening to us, like as if it's like some affliction or something like that. It's not. It's an interesting process. Exciting might be a word that you could use. I don't know. Daunting is probably more appropriate. Based on my vocabulary.
I'll be honest. I don't wake up in the morning happy that I'm have to write supplements and do college essays. To be honest with you, or even fill out an application. Not like something I wake up very chipper about. Not at all.
Except, of course, to whichever school happens to have Googled my name, found this video, and is listening to it right now, except for yours. Yours was great. I really loved yours. Your supplementary essay, brilliant. I thought it was probably the most creative I've ever heard. I wrote you my Common App essay. It wasn't even my Common App essay. I wrote you a specific one that I sent to you. It's true. That one's for you. You, whoever's listening to this. It was specifically for your school, and I love your school. It's my favorite. I want to go there. Please accept me. I feel like it's important that we address that. But yes, not a terribly interesting. I don't want to say not interesting. Not a terribly fun, not a terribly amusing process. But of course, anybody who's been through it knows that it is quite an important one that must get done. I think an interesting thing to note though is like up until like now, having to write these essays, like I don't know that I've ever gone through really a self-reflective or introspective sort of like period of my life where like I'll get these essays, and I mean I should probably look up like some of the ones that are on the Common App. I only remember the one that I wrote. I mean they're interesting topics, but pretty much the majority of them are like, tell us about some like life-changing experience that you had, or what is a piece of advice that you'll never forget. And then I sit there and I think back to my life, and I'm like, how boring has my life been? That like you'd think that most people would be like, that one thing that my grandfather told me will always stick with me, and I'm gonna die living by this motto. And I'm like, I don't know. I think some teacher told me that like I put semicolons instead of dashes if you want extra pause length, or I don't think I could point to like one concrete piece of advice that was like, or anything for that matter, like in my past life, which is why I didn't write about any of that. Like I didn't write about like a particular event. I chose one of the ones where it was just like, tell us about you, and I was like, all right, that's a little bit more malleable.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you completely. Like it kind of like makes you look at your own life and you're like, wow, like these prompts, they're so like, I don't know how you put it, like I can't really, it's like I can't really describe it. It's like they're so like like you seem like someone is writing him is putting so much like emotion into it, something that's so like strong, and like it has I don't know, like
right, it's like so like loaded almost.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah,
it's a loaded question. It's literally
right.
Like you write so much about it. It seemed like people like they're expecting you to write so much about it and have so much like passion into it, something that you feel like you're dear about, like something that you like. And like for me, like some of these questions are like, I mean, like, yeah, I've had an experience, and it just like you said, it makes you kind of look back at your life like, wow, life must be pretty boring compared to like the other people that are writing some of these essays, I'm sure.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is it's like where, like, in what vein, right? Like, are those questions asked almost? Because it's like, I think they anticipate that most people aren't going to have like the most fascinating answer in the world. Do they this has always been like my struggle. Do they want you to try to write an interesting essay about something that's relatively mundane, like for you to try to pique their interest in something that might not be like innately interesting? or would they prefer you write an essay maybe where you don't have as much creative control, but like it's more true? Like you get what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah,
like
no, I get what you're saying.
the more true like a story is, and the more you reflect upon like its reality, right? Like the less of it is your own actual writing. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
you're just
I agree.
you're
Yeah.
reciting the truth. Now,
Yeah,
granted,
yeah.
some of it is like your ability to communicate it and to tell it, but like I think there's a lot more in terms of like explorative abilities in your own writing. If not necessarily you make something up, but if you like expand upon something, you're not maybe not telling so much a story as much as you're like just addressing like a general idea or like a general topic or like a general principle of your life or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I while I was looking at some of these like prompts that they want you like to write about, I almost seemed like they wanted you to have something that's like, I think they almost wanted you to take either if you have something that's almost unique to yourself and make it and really show to them what it means to you. You know what I'm saying? I think they want you to, even if it's something as little as, I don't know, like I remember one person, he would make clay figures with like out of pencils, like he would make like little pencil figures.
Is the person you know, or is it like an essay, like a
no, it's the
model
person
essay
I
you
know
wrote?
who this was like his hobby, and although like it seems like something so like almost insignificant, it meant so much to him, and I think that's kind of what they want. They want things that like maybe might not be the most like interesting, it might not be the most significant. You're not like traveling around the world trying to solve like world hunger, but you're doing something that means meaningful to you. I think that's what they want to see. That I think, at least. I don't know. Maybe not.
I mean, here's the thing when it comes to this. Maybe.
True.
That's
true. You're right. I mean, unless I become an admissions officer, I don't.
right,
I won't know.
That's what so much of it comes down to. Is it's like, yeah, that would be cool if that's what they wanted.
But sometimes I seriously doubt that's the actual case.
You don't know what they want.
I mean, one thing not a big fan of is the prompts. They make it seem so like almost so dramatic. Like, do you mind if I read one of the Common App prompts?
One of the, like this year's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them, this says right here, some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. No, that's great and all, but it like they just made like they I don't know, they emphasized how like the meaning of it and how it has to like it's something that like if it's not written on here, they won't know the true you. That's what it kind of seems like.
Can I be honest, Frank?
What?
That's the one that I chose.
Is it?
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, and you're just like, look, I get this prompt and all, but I mean, like, if you have to pick it, then it's like, come on, what have you just been doing?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm
not gonna lie, I'm mildly offended that you insult my. I thought it was a great choice. I thought that I wrote a brilliant essay. No, you're right. You're probably right. I should just throw it out.
You know what I think you should do? You should write an enraged letter to me and send it. So I'll receive it and I'll put it in my suggestion box. Which is AKA my trash can.
Okay. Wow, Frank. Okay, thanks for that. But
I mean,
I'm gonna remind you that I control the mixing board here. So like at any point, if your audio just cuts out mysteriously, I guess the audience is gonna be left wondering as to why that happened.
Okay.
That being said, I think it's a great idea. I will in fact write you a letter as soon as I write my new Common App essay. I think that takes priority because now I have to rewrite it. This one's gonna be all about water towers.
You know what? I think a college would look at that.
Like I'm not like talking about like saying it out loud now. Like that might be the thing that like some school would be like.
I mean,
what an interesting essay.
I mean, think about it. I'm sure if you sent it to like the right admissions officer read that, they'll take it as either one of two things. You either have too much time on your hands, or
exactly.
you're a genius, or you're just that observant of what's going.
You just know so much about water towers.
Exactly, you're just that observant of what's going on around you, and you're so like, you think so deeply, and you're so above everyone else on an intellectual level that you can actually make a prompt about water towers compelling.
There you go.
I think that's what'll happen.
See, I gotta become like the headmaster of a school one day, and I'm gonna make that the prompt. Tell me what you know about water towers. And I'll be able to tell who Googled it and who's really speaking passionately about water towers.
Exactly.
It's actually funny though, like you mentioning that. It reminds me of a story. Again, I don't know how true it is. I remember talking a lot about last season about like how I would try to like Google stuff and tell you whether or not it was true. We'll worry about it later. Look, it's a good story. It relates. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I think it is. I'm pretty sure I heard it from my dad. There was a man, have no idea the name, but he was like an Irish man. He graduated high school in like the 1950s, maybe early 1960s. I was looking to go to college. Actually, sorry, didn't graduate high school. Dropped out of high school and was looking to go to college in like the 1950s, early 1960s, like that sort of era. So what he did is he went to apply to schools, right, with like a dropout transcript or whatever the equivalent was back then, and also like for Ireland. He was applying to American schools, but he was from Ireland. And basically what he did is for like a couple months, like right around that time, he just read nothing but Voltaire because he figured that all intellectuals know a lot of Voltaire. And if you know a lot of Voltaire, you must be an intellectual, right? Like, obviously, right? So he just read like volumes of Voltaire for like a couple months, and then he went into interview with like all the schools he was going to or he was going to try to apply to, and he got like accepted to pretty much all of them, like on the spot. Like the admissions officers like loved him so much because he did nothing but talk about Voltaire.
Voltaire, yeah, exactly.
He was like that was it. He was just really well learned in the subject of Voltaire, and he got wherever he wanted to go, because that's all it takes. Like if you look like you have like an innate sense of knowledge about, be it Voltaire or water towers,
that is true.
That's what they want in you.
Well, I mean, like you said it perfectly right there. I mean, like if you have some kind of like ability where you have like a high degree of understanding of something, it can make off some kind of intelligence to someone that's.
Well, I think it depends on the thing.
I disagree with that. I think unless it's so absurd that it's comical. But I mean, if you have something that you're just that deeply interested in, and you actually like form serious like opinions about it, serious hypothesis about whatever it may be, I think you can give off some like a high form of intelligence to anyone that you're talking to about it.
Let this sit as a disclaimer. If you're planning on applying to a college ever, please don't write an essay about water towers, no matter how passionate you are in them. You could be the most knowledgeable person in the world when it comes to water towers. I don't think that they want to see your essay on that. I think that there are a number of things which people could be extremely passionate about, but a college probably doesn't want your essay on. I mean, like, there are a few like normal cliches. One that like we might be getting over now is like for a while it was video games. It's like a lot of people were pretty passionate about video games, but like that was not the sort of thing that you wanted to put on a college application because it was just viewed very negatively.
Well, no, yeah,
by the public, by the education system, as a negative. I mean, even around the time, I'm sure we've mentioned it before in the first season, but I'll say it now. We go to a private high school, so like there is an application process involved. Like even as recent as like around 4 years ago, when Frank and I were applying to the school, like that's an internal debate that I had. I mean, I enjoyed video games probably a lot more then than I do now. I had a lot more time to play them, but like I had some like serious passions involved in some of the games. Not in that like I wasted my life away playing like senseless multiplayer shooter games. I mean, I did do some of that. But like some games are like innately like interesting, like they make you think, be it like through the story or like they test your creativity and ingenuity and stuff like that, and like that is in a sense like where my passion involved in like gaming was around. So like it was like again it was like a genuine sort of like internal debate almost, where it's like, is this a good thing to put on an application to a high school? Like, are they going to want to see that? Is it going to reflect positively or might it even reflect negatively? And as I said, I think we've just about come over that stigma. Like, I'm talking like maybe past a year or two.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's really become because of the fact that there's competitive gaming leagues now, especially with like Fortnite and now that, just basically making it so worldwide and popular now that it's not even considered like it's almost like considered like a big thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say that that's why though. Like I'm gonna disagree with you in the sense that I don't think competitive gaming has been around for a little while. Probably at least a decade. Well, definitely at least a decade. Probably close to like 15 years. I mean, when it started off in the likes of like Halo, but I don't know necessarily like that's it. Like that's what's made it more acceptable. Like the fact that more people are doing it. And if anything, I think that might be hurting the cause. Like when you have really big things like Fortnite come up, where it just seems to like overtake like this younger generation, and it really does. Like it almost seems as if like it is negatively influencing people.
100%.
I mean, at least from my perspective, I think from probably plenty other people's perspective. If anything, I think people have finally come to like accept like the artistic vision behind some video games, more so than like appreciate the fact that it's like a legitimate career. But that they realize like the artistry behind some games. I mean, when you talk about, some games. I'm trying to think of like a really good recent example.
Like in terms of a video game, or
yeah, I'm not sure I could point to one that came out this year, but I mean when you talk about games like Unravel, I don't know if you played it. I played the original. I never got around to playing the second one. It's a beautiful story in like a wonderfully arced game. And the game itself, like just like the whole premise behind it, like the actual mechanics of the game, they're just plainly creative. Or probably my favorite example, and this honestly this could beg like a whole discussion on its own, and like saying it out loud now, we might reserve it for a later episode. A game called the Stanley Parable is the most innately interesting thing in terms of a story I think I've ever seen out of a video game, or like any form of art, like for that matter, honestly, like out of like movies or television or books even. I think like the Stanley Parable, and the same guy who made that made another game called The Beginner's Guide. Extraordinary. And I think people have begun to appreciate that. Again, like the actual like artistry, the craftsmanship that goes behind these games. I think that's finally sort of been like, okay, when somebody says that they're interested in video games, it might not just mean that they just sit around and play Counter-Strike all day. I mean, that might be what it means, but at least there like remains this possibility now that there is that sort of like deeper, contextual like appreciation again for like the artistry behind video games. Like in the same way that somebody would say like, I study film. I mean, like studying film is a legitimate study. Studying literature is that's like a huge range of majors fall into that topic. But like if you were to say like, oh, I study video gaming, or I study like graphic design, people still kind of like give you that.
Yeah, they give
weird,
you kind of
like,
they give you a kind of look like, well, is that even real? Like
exactly,
kind of like that.
Exactly.
I mean, like what you were saying, like the artistry behind it. I think also like not even just the simple like the artistry, also like the how it makes you, the effect it has on you to begin with. Like, do you think of things like video games like Resident Evil, where their goal is to almost instill a sense of fear, and
it's a creepy game.
Very. Have you played the?
I've played
the new one that came out.
Two of them.
2 years ago?
What's the new one? Is it like 7?
It was Resident Evil.
Yeah, you take a look at that. I played 2 and 3, or like 3 and 4. They weren't the first bunch, but I definitely haven't played them in a couple years. I want to say they were back in like the Xbox 360 days. Is probably when they were. I remember them being creepy, and me not wanting to play them past like the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean I actually played Resident Evil 7.
That's the new one, 7?
Which is Biohazard. That came out actually 2 years ago now, but they're coming out with a new one, Resident Evil 2, in 2019.
There is a newer one.
Yeah.
Coming out with 2 now. What are like the Battlefield numbering system?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I don't
arbitrarily tack on numbers to the end.
I think that's their whole goal.
Okay.
But Resident Evil 7 Biohazard was the name of it. Was honestly, I don't generally get scared in many things, like movies. I'm not kind of like whatever. But this game was generally scared me for most of the entire like storyline and all. It's just the idea of like not only you're not watching it now, you're actually like in it, and it makes it so real and so like exhilarating, and so like just brings so many like a slew of emotions that you almost can't even like understand.
Have you ever played any VR horror games, virtual reality horror games?
I've done like those VR like haunted houses, but like not really like high quality ones. But I've never done one of the VR.
I don't know if they have like genuinely high quality like VR horror games, but there are some VR horror games I had actually for like the first time less than 2 months ago, probably just about a month ago. Gotten to try. I've done VR in the past, but I've never actually had the opportunity to play a horror for virtual reality game. And oh my god! I should stipulate I don't do horror well. I don't go see horror movies because I know it's not going to bode well for me. It's not like that I'm gonna like scream out. But like I'm gonna have to like turn away. I cringe very easily at like that sort of stuff, and I really like, especially if I know that like I don't have to watch it, I won't. Like I will seriously, I'll walk out. I'll just turn it off. I'll just pause it, whatever it is. The only thing I do is like some of those like creepy stories, like storytelling sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think are a lot more interesting.
I think it's almost like, you mean like storytelling where like you're just like you're hearing it like if someone from like word of mouth or like
I mean sure, so like if you know like creepypastas, that would be a good example. But I mean also like there are some games that have like very creepy stories behind them, but they don't portray it in just like jump scares is what gets me. Like that's the big thing. It's like jump scares and like absurd gore. Like I'm not gonna lie, both of those get me all the time. If it's like a cleverly crafted like horror sort of game, or anything for that matter, movie, television, but it's like it's not based around the premise of like jump scares or that sort of stuff. I can do it. Like one flew over the cuckoo's nest, phenomenal movie. Jack Nicholson, probably my favorite horror movie, but because that's based around like the psychology behind it. Or Silence of the Lambs.
Oh,
also phenomenal.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, and like you're saying,
same exact sort of thing.
I think what makes horror anything that's trying to like scare you in any way is not the jump scares. Really, I don't think the jump scares or the gore is what gets.
Those definitely get me.
I'm sure they get you, but for me, I mean, I love going into the most like.
What is that supposed to mean? I'm sure they get you. What is that? What are you trying to say, Frank?
I'm just saying what you just said they did before, so I'm just reaffirming the fact. But for me, like I honestly love jump scares. I love trying to challenge myself and go to movies and just actually see if I can be frightened in any way from a jump scare. And to be honest, I have yet to find one. But
I'm sorry, Frank, that we all can't be so brave.
Hold on. I wasn't done. But 1 second.
Okay.
As I was saying, as I was gonna add, it's not the actual jump scares that scare me, but the premise, like you said, the underlying premise of horror behind it. And for me, what really would scare me is the possibility of like this could actually be real. Like Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, that's why I hate those. I mean, as I said, I prefer those because I can get through them. But those are the ones that screw with me for like the next like 2 weeks.
Exactly, like Silence of the Lambs.
Just thinking about it,
I might not even like be scared at all. Like, but I could think about it after the fact and be like, wow, like there actually could be someone like that. That's not like out of the realm of possibility, especially in like our world today. There's so many crazy things that people do.
From what I come to understand, Silence of the Lambs is when I say loosely, I mean like extraordinarily loosely, but like loosely based on somewhat of a true story. Mm-hmm. Again, I could be wrong about that, but I think I remember watching a documentary on the movie actually, and them mentioning again, like it is not by any means like a documentary, but it's somewhat based upon a possibly realistic set of circumstances.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like you get like these movies like Paranormal Activity, like the whole 20 films they have on or whatever. Like, yeah, those are like they're enjoyable to watch, but they're not something like I'm gonna be scared about. Because like to be honest with you, I just don't believe in the premise of them as actually being a possibility. Like zombie movies, I would never even like think about that as being real. Like to me, it just seems like that's fake. It's not actually real, even though like you never know. But to me,
I'm with you there. Yeah.
like this
zombies
is never,
and aliens, stuff like that. Don't get me anywhere near as much.
Yeah, but it's like when you feel like, I think real horror is just the idea that something could possibly happen to you. Like something like this could be applicable to your life, and it could happen. That's what I think real fear is, the possibility that it could be you and not just like the actual scaring of the movie. That's what I think.
I'm with you there. Yeah. All right. I'm going to do what I can to avoid criticisms of the first season, which is that we would open up tangents, which would then lead to other tangents, and we would never, ever readdress the original point of what we're talking about. So I'm going to diverge a little bit. Yeah, so you're struggling to even remember it. I'm going to first close the first door that I opened, which was saying just this whole thing about horror. I got the opportunity to play a horror VR game about a month ago. And that's what it was purely like no plot behind it. It was just like jump scares and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just the experience of being in VR. I'm not joking. When the game starts, you're in a room and you have like a couple different hallways to walk down. Just like the notion of like being in like an eerie sort of creepy room that, as bad as the graphics are, feels kind of real. I did not want to walk down that hallway. Like I did.
Yeah.
Literally, my first sight of an apparition or whatever the heck it was supposed to be, some sort of ghost thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even like it jumped out. Like it's just as you approach it, you could start to see it. I got that far and I was like, nope, I'm out. Like I just don't want any more of this. Like that is what video games can do to you.
Was it
really
also
is.
like audio too with it, so you could? So you could hear like the eerie sounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes place in this giant like open. I don't know what the name of the game is, but I'm sure I could look it up and find it. There can't be too many VR games out there right now, but yeah, had like it was set in this like open sort of chateau sort of thing, like a dungeon-esque sort of thing, and I just wasn't having it. So yeah, like I got to a point where it was like, oh, there's a thing, I'm out of here. See ya. Just took the headset off, and folks I was with were like, aren't you gonna? Did you die? And I was like, I don't think so. I'm just not playing anymore.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, were you getting chased by one of the dogs? And I was like, I would have actually like pissed myself and fell on the floor if I was being chased by a dog. Are you kidding?
Dogs? You got chased by dogs? I didn't even get out of the room yet.
I just saw a woman with no eyes looking at me, and that was enough. Like that was
Yeah.
Sorry, losers. I'm out of here. That's what that was.
I haven't tried one of those yet. I might actually have to try like one of those realistic ones.
We'll arrange it. Well, you know what? How about this? We'll bring some cameras and we'll see how that goes.
Frankie reacts to virtual reality horror. See how it goes.
I think this is, again, let's make promises that we can't keep because I'm really good at that.
Yeah, might as well.
I think this is something that we can arrange for, and I will now do my best to try and do exactly that. So anyway, yes, video games, especially VR, can certainly make you feel things, at least I think, that other media really can't bring you to feel. So that being said, I think that's largely why people are beginning to accept video games like as a form of media. In the same sense that like around this time, people are also starting to accept stuff like podcasts or like YouTube videos, YouTubers, as perhaps like real media generation. I think they're still viewed upon a little bit more negatively, probably even than video games, but like it's getting there.
I slightly disagree with you on that. It's like the YouTube like those YouTubers.
Okay. When I say
it depends on who you're talking about.
I don't mean when and I think that's the unfortunate use of the word is like now when you say the word YouTuber, like it immediately defers to like the two most notorious people that I don't even want to name on this podcast.
Would you mind just naming them because I want to make sure we're on the same page here.
Okay. They're brothers. Their last name is 4 letters, and it rhymes with Saul. The younger one's name rhymes with Lake, and the older one's name rhymes with Hogan. I think. Okay, it's Logan and Jake Paul.
Yeah.
But I'm upset that I even know who those people are. But it's okay. Yeah, I agree. They ruin the image for the rest of them. When I say YouTuber, I mean people who make actual content. I'm not even talking about like gamers on YouTube. Like I'm still a little iffy on that myself. But people who make like genuine miniature films, or people who do like I use YouTube for like a lot of guitar lessons, stuff like that. Like I find that totally valid. It's like you're just doing online lessons like that people used to do like forever ago, except rather than just putting it on your website, you put it onto YouTube because it's more accessible.
Oh yeah,
People make skits and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. Like YouTube, I've used it for. I know you're not gonna like this, but a lot of Tom Ritchie, AP Euro, AP US.
I'm not about to start a war with Tom Ritchie, but I'm not a big fan. Go watch my videos instead. They're on there.
What you're like
on
your
the
whole,
YouTube.
I'm sorry, your whole 2 videos.
My whole look. My whole 2 videos gave you more information than 2 hours worth of Tom Ritchie's night before the exam lecture, where he tries to convince everybody to write like "All Hail the Supreme Leader" and then cross it out or something like that.
Hold on. He doesn't do night before. He does the morning of a lot.
Wake up. Oh boy.
Wake up at 3:30 in the morning Eastern. We're East Coast, so we're first test going in. I'm sitting there grinding out for about 5 hours getting ready.
I don't know about you, Frank. I love to wake up to some Tom Ritchie. I can't get up in the morning.
His southern accent is like soothing to me. It just calms me down right before.
Okay. I'm gonna halt you there. Not a big Tom Ritchie guy, but like that's the beauty of YouTube is that people can use it for that. And if you are a big Tom Ritchie guy, great. Access his content, or access mine for that matter, because it's better and it's mine.
Again.
Look, you know what?
2 videos.
I'll make more. Okay, more is gonna come. More is gonna happen. I'm not taking either. Actually, there's 3. There's 2 for AP Euro, and then there's an hour of me drawing stuff on a board for AP US.
Oh,
which was like a lecture. Because
yeah.
I didn't have the time last year to make videos, like to edit videos together. So I was like, I'll just record the lectures that I'm going to do after school, put them on the YouTubes. And then it turned out that they were all like such huge files that I really only had time to upload one before the exam when I tried to, like that Friday morning. And I was like, well, whoops. So I have like another 4 or 5 days of lectures that just never got onto YouTube. Maybe I'll put them up now, I guess, for anybody this year who wants to. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I think the internet and that sort of stuff is probably like a media form that's not as accepted, which is interesting because this is going so great. It's bringing us right back into our main topic. Nobody can complain anymore. That's an interesting thing because on a lot of these applications, which is kind of to readdress like where this came from, the notion of like, is it okay to talk about like video games or something like that on your application? Like, is it okay to talk about something you're really passionate about, even if the thing is like viewed sort of negatively? Like, the same could go for like, what if you're like a YouTube personality? What if it's a little cringy? As most of them are, like especially when you're in high school. So don't get me wrong. Some high schoolers on YouTube and like even younger, brilliant. Like there are people who at a young age like really have a knack for doing this sort of thing.
Others,
like I could name a few off my head, but
others don't. Others don't. Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Others should keep to themselves. But the question would be like, do you write about that? And in fact, what I was going to mention is, probably at least half the schools I'm applying to on the Common App have a section where they themselves, like in their own questions, they allow you to submit what they call like an online presence portfolio or something like that. So in the same way that you could submit like an art portfolio if you were auditioning as an art student, or like a music sample if you were auditioning to like a music college, or like a film sample if you're going to a film school. They have another thing, which is not meant for any particular kind of student, like it's just in general. And basically, they allow you to paste in like a URL to a website, or basically they say like a website, or to like a social media page that you upkeep, and like that you have put like genuine effort into. And the question is like, how much of that is going to help somebody versus how much of that is going to hurt somebody? Like that's my question.
I mean, I think it, like, I don't want to keep going back. I think it really depends on what you're uploading and what kind of content you're putting out. I think if it's something like you said, like helping people with AP European history, I think that's like, not only is that's just using YouTube as a platform to educate and help others and like relevant topics for high schoolers. I think.
I'm an awesome person. No, I get that. I understand. You can keep complimenting me. Actually, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
But, I mean, I think if you're reviewing what the best type of rock is, you're spending a couple of hours talking about that.
Hold on.
I don't know how much.
Wait a minute. Are we talking rock as in earth science, like igneous versus sedimentary?
No,
or
no.
are we talking?
I mean,
are we
you
talking? Are we talking like rock and roll? Are we talking?
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry.
Are we
I mean
talking-
actual rocks. Like I don't mean like
No,
earth
so we're not,
science.
So we're not talking about like the difference between Procol Harmon's A Whiter Shade of Pale and like the Beatles' I Am the Walrus.
No, not in any way, shape, or form.
No?
I mean, like
Okay.
you're putting a camera to your
Like that'd be
face
interesting.
and you're holding up rocks and you're going, "Oh, I like this rock. It's round." Like if there's something that has no like actual like meaning to it, or something that's not like, I don't know how to describe. It's like something just so like almost ridiculous and kind of random.
I want you to
don't know.
remind me of this conversation. As soon as we start doing like actual, as I said, we're gonna start incorporating video clips and whatnot. As soon as we do that, Frank, just I'm letting you know now. You gotta remind me of this conversation because there's a video clip that I already have saved, which is exactly about this, and I think it's hilarious. It's not about rocks, but it's close. And what I want to ask you is this? I think that could be our recurring theme, right? Talk
Mhm.
about like trying to establish themes for some of these episodes like that we can harken back to. Every time we watch a clip, let's address the question: would you send this to your college of choice?
That's a fantastic
Right.
segment. Would we do that? Yeah.
So would you send this to your college? Is this something you're proud of to send to your college? And if your college found it, even if you didn't send it to them, how would you explain it away? What would be your goat? Like, okay, I mean, once we have clips to actually
I understand.
to address,
I understand
yeah,
what you're
but
saying. Yeah.
That's
Or like if you were at a job interview and they pulled up your private YouTube channel and found you reviewing rocks, would you be particularly proud of?
Yeah, man, you're like, this strain of granite is really beautiful in the springtime.
Yeah, like I
It's
mean,
like, okay,
it's unless
somebody
it's like,
needs to get a life.
yeah, I think it's just kind of, like I said, depends on what you're doing
You know,
with
but who are we to say that? Because honestly, like the study of rock,
Well, to be completely
some
honest,
people find that fascinating.
we aren't ones to say because we're here.
Yeah,
But a college
that's- yeah,
admissions
that's
officer
true.
has the right to say what, or an employer has the right to deem what they think necessary and unnecessary.
What qualifies as like just
Yeah.
innately stupid?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think they
but
have.
yeah,
I think they
probably.
have the right to do it at that
Probably
point.
right about that.
But I mean,
That's definitely a thing to do. I like this. I did not have this idea before, but I'm very glad that we've come across it now. Would you send this to your college? Would you put this on an application? And if your college found it, what would you say? How would you try to reason your way out of it? All right, this will be
Yeah.
interesting. Again, we're gonna have to wait till we have some clips to talk about. But there's one in particular that I want to start with now, thinking about this. So that should be good.
but I mean, I just think if it's, I don't know. I it depends. It really depends on what you're doing. That's why I think if it's something that an admissions officer could look at and actually be genuinely like interested in what you're doing, then I think it's acceptable. But if they look at it and just kind of think of it as a
Well,
joke, I don't think they'll do it.
Here's what I want to readdress, and not that like I'm doing this to like call you out or like to say that like your opinions change, but like I'm genuinely curious as to like if you view this differently. What you had said before when we were talking about like writing an essay, if you recall, is you had basically said that like, look, as long as it's something you're passionate about and like you clearly demonstrate that passion in your writing, go for it. Right. Whereas I had sort of taken the position like there are some things that you really just you don't want to hit anyway. I mean there are like the obvious things that I'm not even going to get into that you don't want to hit. But there are like other things that some people might find interesting, right? In that sense.
Yeah.
But,
to me, writing an essay about something that may seem kind of odd is different than having a video, posting content about your ideas on said topic. Like when you're writing something, I think you can almost make it seem better than what a video could show. That's what I kind of believe.
I mean, I'll agree with you, like definitely in the sense that I mean, when you're writing like an essay about that topic, your main point is to address and explain it, and so to be like, so I'm interested in this, but let me tell you why.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I guess that's true. Like if you just have like a collection of videos already on the internet, like it doesn't at no point does it really like explain it away. Like it's just like, let me show you this thing that I do.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I think if they asked
you
you,
don't really want to see what most
if
of the
they
people on
asked
the
you
internet
and you
do.
tried to explain it, even if it was like you had a good explanation for why you did the video.
At that point, it's a little too late.
Yeah, it looks like you're kind of making up excuses as to why you have a video of something. Like,
I mean, maybe not even that, but as I said, I think at that point maybe it's just like the visual image of it has already made its imprint. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so this person dresses up in a frog costume and throws spoons at the homeless. Like that's that's.
I don't think anyone would have a video of that to send
on
to
internet?
a college. No,
I'm
sorry.
hitting the Google machine.
I mean, or send it to a college, or even write a Common App essay about that. I couldn't see anyone having the audacity to do that.
I mean,
and have a justifiable explanation for why they do it. Like,
okay, see, Frank, here's the thing. It's one thing when you insult the prompt I chose, right, for my essay topic. But now you go and you insult my essay, okay?
I'm not insulting your essay.
About dressing up as frogs and throwing spoons at the homeless.
Oh, so you have an essay written out about this already?
I could read it to you right now. I can.
Please, I'm all ears. I would love to hear it.
Well, I recognize that I probably shouldn't do that based on the fact that, like the Common App is like confidential information, all that. But
just a small excerpt, 1 or 2 sentences.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Deaglan DiMurro. Sometimes on the weekends, I like to dress up as frogs and throw spoons at the homeless. Will that suffice? Is that good? You want me to keep going? I think I read a little more.
I think you should read a little bit more. There's no substance there at all.
You don't know anything about essays, all right? Stop. Where are you in the admissions process? Nowhere, okay? Yeah, so you don't tell me a thing. I do this. Let me continue. I do this because it is fun. The spoons are usually made of a hard plastic and are sometimes ceramic. I do my best to find homeless people who look like they are asleep. This ups the ante of excitement level. Are you sufficed?
I'm very sufficed. The image of you walking around in a frog costume and throwing spoons at sleeping homeless people.
The frog.
I think it just might have made my week. That's
frog costume is quite an important part.
What is this? What do you call this act?
One time, it's just like what do you call like playing Monopoly with a bunch of friends on the weekend?
Well,
it's just having a good time.
Monopolizing your enemies. That's what I call it.
Okay, that's clever. I'll give that to you. What do I call this? This is called.
I just thought of something I'm not gonna say, but
yeah, I think you and I thought of the same thing that we certainly cannot say. This is called hippity hoppity. Get off my property. All right.
Oh my god.
I think I'm. Anyway, I'm gonna continue a little bit.
Yeah, continue with what you.
So.
But I mean, like I was saying, I think.
This is my favorite part of the story. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
At one point, I threw a spoon at a great big homeless man who was snoring very loudly. Then, when the homeless man awoke, it turned out that he was Chris Christie. I had to apologize.
I'm sorry. Where were you doing this hippity hoppity get off my property? I guess activity.
I was doing this in the estate of the New Jersey state governor. It's about 2.5 years ago.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, wasn't Chris Christie still in office at that point?
Yeah.
So he was a homeless Chris Christie.
Well, he was in his bed. I probably should have figured it was him. It looked like a homeless man, and I was hired specifically to keep the homeless off of the property of Chris Christie. It was either me in my frog costume and spoons, or it was like the National Guard and tear gas.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would look good for Christie's image. So they went with the spoons.
It's brilliant. You know what? You should be commended.
Write an essay about it? I did, and then I'm sending it to all of my colleges.
You should be commended by someone of high authority, honestly.
Governor Murphy?
100%.
The new governor, Murphy?
Yes.
It's not my governor, but he is, in fact, the governor of the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
I'll talk to him about that. Maybe you could put in a good word for me?
Of course I will.
All right, I appreciate that. That's great. You had something you wanted to say, I think, at some point before I delved into this.
No, I was just going back to the where you were saying that I had a different opinion on writing an essay about something that you're passionate about, and writing and having a video about it. And like
videos,
I was just saying, it just.
By the way, there are videos of the frog thing too. That's also on my other YouTube channel.
No.
Oh yeah, of the whole frog spoon throwing debacle. Yeah. I think we got one from Chris Christie. So that's the real question. I already wrote an essay about it. Should I also send them the videos?
I think you wrote the essay, and I think they need content. They need to really understand and visualize.
They're not gonna believe it. Who's gonna believe that?
No, they're just gonna think you
dressed
just
up in a frog costume.
You're winging your essay. Yeah, I think
you threw spoons at Governor Christie.
I think one way to really just drive the whole point home is you're doing it with some kind of political intentions, where you were like,
oh, you bet.
You have. I hope you mentioned that in your comment. Essay.
Exactly. I mean, I like the most important part about it. I mean, of course, right? Throwing spoons at the homeless is it's a very profound message, right? To feed the hungry. It's look at you. You're homeless. You're in my way. You're on my property. But you're hungry. I respect that. So I'm going to get you to move while also giving you an instrument by which you can eat.
No, it's inspiration. You're inspiring them to, rather than waiting for people to bring them food, they have spoons in their hand and they go out and find their own food. I think it's brilliant. We should really start an agency about this.
I think it has.
You already have me on board. I really believe
it has a lot of legitimacy behind it. So I mean, there's definitely a profound statement in there. And then of course, throwing a spoon at Governor Christie while he was sleeping and insisting that he was a homeless man in the house and in the bed of Governor Christie. I mean, that leaves quite a profound political message. Definitely a very profound political statement. And basically, what that is saying is, hey, I think the gas prices are too high. Obviously. I mean,
what was it, right. 2.5 years ago if you were doing this? I mean,
we were nearing $4 a gallon.
Yeah, we were, right? That was before.
That's not okay, right?
Yeah, that was before we figured out.
So let's look at this, right? Before the frogage, there was, we're talking gas prices upwards of $4 a gallon.
Yeah.
Here we are about 2 years post frogage.
We're at 230.
We're at like 230
near where I am.
That's outstanding.
I know.
I'm taking that road that's over there that I'm not going to identify by name. The one that goes into the state above us, which I'm also not going to identify by name. I think we've already said we're in New Jersey.
Yeah.
The one that connects New Jersey to New York.
Yeah.
There's a couple, but there's like one here on that road. Yeah, I mean it was peaking like around 290 probably like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's had a steady drop since.
I know, yeah.
To like it's some of it's like in the 230s now, and I think that has largely to do with my own efforts.
I mean, as I was going back to the organization before you were rudely interrupting me, but
I apologize.
The hippity hoppity get off my property organization, or the HHGOMPO, I think.
HHGOMPO?
Yes, I'm sorry, I missed the O.
No, you got it.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm okay. Just want to make sure.
I was just reading.
The HHGOMPO, or the hippity hoppity get off my property organization. I really believe this is something we can start. It's not even like an organization. It's a revolution. We could eliminate high gas prices everywhere, unless they already have lowered. But then we know it was because of us. So
that's. I mean, I think we're getting somewhere here. Not to digress in any way, but again, you were trying to give a statement about the differentiation between writing an essay on something and making a video about something when I interrupted you to inform you of my own ventures into film.
Yeah.
With the frog endeavor. So please, you can curtail your initial statement. I
mean, as I was just saying before, it's like writing an essay is just different. It's just you can make it, like you said, you can explain it, and you can make it have a meaning, make it sound meaningful. But a video that you've already posted, it's out there, and it's up for interpretation by anyone, and however they interpret it is the way it'll be.
That's true.
However they interpret it is the way they're going to interpret it. You can't really change their mind at that point.
Like, thinking about that, like if you write an essay and you send it somewhere, like, and that essay is just between you and whoever you send it to, I mean, the only opinion that like the reader is going to have is their own, or if they're reading it with a couple other people, just the opinions of those people. If you have something on the internet and people have like commented on it,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, sure, you have a video about how fascinated you are by like the different breed of dogs, and like it seems like really cool and all.
Yeah. Then
And
you get some guy, some heckler, that'll be like, "What's wrong with you?"
or you just get one person in the comments who's like, "This is really great and all, but I'm a veterinarian, and all of this is wrong."
exactly.
All,
Yeah,
all is-
exactly.
when anybody else would have no idea.
Or you'll, or
Have
like,
no idea.
like you have the video of you throwing spoons at Senator Christie.
Right, exactly.
Someone could look at that and be like,
a lot
"How
of
dare,
a
how
lot
dare
of
you beat that
positive
homeless
reviews.
man?" Like exactly.
Exactly, right. But
Yeah.
there's at least 2 or 3 negative reviews. I'm pretty sure they're all just Governor Christie on different accounts. And
His burner.
and like interestingly enough, they I mean one of them posted 50 times Christie for president 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's right. I mean that immediately like that interferes with the message. Like then people are gonna watch the video and go, "Oh, it's an ad for Christie." No, it's not. No,
No.
it's
No.
about lowering the gas prices.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Yep.
Right. And then one of Christie's other accounts is actually just an entire dictation of the hearing for the Bill Clinton Monica Lewinsky scandal, right? So
Okay.
like again, like in that sense, like people are gonna read that and they're like, what? Like an introspective message on like politicians who are too greedy,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
They have this. Right, the silver spoon, right? That's what
Exactly.
people associate. It's a
Exactly.
silver spoon. They think that they ought to get what they want,
Mhm.
right? And I mean, Chris Christie is not like a perfect man in that sense either, right? So you take people like that who think that they ought to be given like special favors, right?
Yeah. Everything.
Um,
Everything as like no means to beat the expression like put on a silver platter for them.
Exactly, right, exactly. And they think that they ought to get like those special favors, which are in truth like horrific and like and terrible, and somebody could really take that away as like a deep, profound message from a video that's really just about beating up the homeless people. Like that's
Exactly.
that's
I know.
that's and there's no reason to take it out of context of exactly what it is. Throwing
Yeah.
spoons at the homeless.
I mean,
I feel like now might be like an important time to stipulate. Please don't hurt the homeless people.
they're
They're good people.
They're good people. They
Well,
really they mean well.
Some of them.
Hopefully.
Um,
I mean, like
they're
you said,
they're just struggling hard times.
that kind of opens
Give
up.
them food, not spoons.
I mean, I don't want to like. I'm not gonna. I hope we don't really delve too deep into this, but like that kind of opens up a new thing. What people take out of things, how people perceive things,
Well, they take that
and
to
they
mean
take
yeah.
it, make it more than it really is. I mean, you think about
Lord.
songs that have really came out and had no meaning at all. People just like just
Cuckoo.
yeah.
Choo.
I was just about to say that. Like when you hear that song, I'm sure there's people that are literally just studied the whole song and have taken their own taken their own opinions on how like it means something real. When I don't think that's the case
I mean,
at all.
that's the point. That was the initial point of I Am
Yeah.
the Walrus, is it was recorded as a song just to be like a major like screw you to everybody who did.
Exactly.
Try to find meaning, and people spent like years like going like, this is really deep. You just don't get it.
I know.
And at some point, one of them was like, nah, like we literally wrote it in like 5 minutes. and,
Exactly.
We wanted it to be nonsense. My favorite example of this is a song. I mentioned it before. When I talked about like the whole comparison of rock.
Yeah.
A song by Procol Harum. I don't even know the name of the band. Procol Harum. I think that's it. It's called A Whiter Shade of Pale. The
Mhm.
song, people find such profound, deep meaning in this, and I'm not joking when I say this. This is 100% true. You can look it up. People play this at weddings. Like people find this a song so important in their life that they play it, as I said, at their wedding. The song, look up the lyrics while I'm saying this.
I'm
Look
sorry,
up
what's
the
the name
lyrics.
of the song again?
A Whiter Shade of Pale. Because it's just, oh man. The song was written by the band like non-consecutively, in the sense that like basically they were like, look, you write a line, I'll write a line, he writes a line, then you write a line, I write a line, he writes a line, and they just compiled them all together and then made them rhyme. So there's intentionally no coagulation
Yeah.
throughout the song.
I'm-
Like there isn't.
as I'm reading this,
Go
I
ahead.
actually recognize the song. Actually, as I'm reading it.
Read out, either pick out like the chorus or pick out like a verse, and just it's total nonsense.
Yeah, here's the opening part. We skipped the light fandango, turned cartwheels across the floor. I was feeling kind of seasick, but the crowd called out for more. The room was humming harder as the ceiling flew away. When we called out for another drink, the waiter bought a tray. That's the first verse.
That's poetic. Honestly, you know what this is? Thinking about it, this is like the 1960s equivalent of "Man's Not Hot."
Exactly.
It's
just someone just blurting out random things,
babbling nonsense, which people actually think is like genuine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's
skibbity bop bop.
It's a little sad. I feel kind of sad.
Like pity for society.
Yeah, but at least I don't feel pity for our generation because it goes on throughout history.
Yeah, it's happened before.
But
exactly.
I mean, it makes me feel better that people in our generation aren't the only ones that are doing these kinds of things. That it actually, at least it existed at some point in the past.
It's not just our fault. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not the only mess ups.
That's I suppose it's one way of, and like an albeit depressing way of looking at it, but it's true. We are in fact not the only ones to have completely screwed ourselves over in terms of generations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh Lord, that's a loaded topic in its own right. What people mean when they say things,
exactly.
versus how things are interpreted, and an interesting conversation. And I think this is probably one that we could pick up with in some weeks to come. We're reading a book about this sort of on this at the moment, which I find to be very fascinating. I know some of the other folks in our class don't enjoy it as much. It's a book called The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien.
I'm not even gonna lie, I actually love the book. It's fantastic, I think.
It's great. For me, I mean, it's about Vietnam, which is just innately fascinating in my opinion. But what I really love about the book is it toys with this idea of what matters more, the truth as it happened, or the truth as it is perceived to have happened.
Yeah.
So I mean, and like in this very own context, if you listen to the song "A Whiter Shade of Pale" and you find meaning in it, what matters more? The fact that there is no meaning and that you're pulling it out of nothing, or the fact that you do find meaning in it and that for whatever reason, and maybe it's just because you're delusional, like that's at least some of the people. Maybe it's because you've spent a little bit too much time under the mushroom tree. Or maybe it's because like there's like genuine. There could be something there that is genuine, like that actually makes you have a connection with that song. Then does it matter that it's nonsense, or is that like excusable for the fact that it does have a meaning to you? You know?
I mean, like this is you just keep going back around to it. It's just whatever you find meaningful.
That's such a lie. That's a lame answer. Boo.
I mean, come on. Like it's true though. I mean, like we said, like we're gonna keep going back to the Common App stuff. But again, you may be writing an essay that some people might find ridiculous and something that's like, okay, why are you writing about playing with pencil shavings? But to you, the pencil shavings may have some kind of meaning, or maybe
I built snowmen out of those pencil shavings, Frank. I'll have you know.
I'm not undermining the fact that you do so, but
I grew up in Texas. There was no snow except in
You grew up in Texas.
1889 when there was a great blizzard of Texas that killed all the cattle. That's a true thing. Look it up. I don't know if it was 1889.
What year was that again?
18 something or other.
Oh,
I don't know. There were
18
cows back then.
Oh, 18 something. So that means you could be at the most almost 200 years old.
All right, look, not me, but like past me. Grew up a different me. Grew up in Texas. No snow again, except for the blizzard of 18 something or other, which killed all the cattle. And then I was left to be a pencil shaving sculptor who made snowmen because we had no snow.
That's fantastic. A real like enlightening story.
I don't need
heartwarming,
demeaning tone, Frank.
But no,
it means a lot to me.
But as I was saying, like honestly, I actually forgot what I was saying.
I think that's pretty much my function here.
Yeah.
To let you make genuine points, and then for me to just distract you talking about spoons and frogs, and I am the walrus and whatnot.
Oh no, yeah. As I was saying, like it all revolves down to what you find meaningful. Like really, it can go back down to anything. If it has meaning to you, it's something. Then you perceive it. If you perceive something that has meaning to you, or you do something that is meaningful to you, it's all really matters. I think in the end.
But But what is it in the grand scheme of things then that matters more? What is meaningful to you or to someone, or what is true, what the actual truth is? Where you find a meaning in something, or where its actual context lies.
Well, how you perceive it is how you perceive it, but I think trying to go about and making your perceptions public, then I think the truth is what matters at that point. When you're trying to go around persuading people of what you believe, you can't be trying to persuade someone of something when you're completely wrong. Like if you were trying to say that.
Again, but what if you're right to you? I mean, it might not be easy to come up with like a concrete example. What if what you're saying is true to you?
Mm-hmm.
It's factually wrong, but it's true to you.
Then if it's true to you, then it's true to you. That you can keep it to yourself, though. As I'm trying to say that, like, it's okay if it's true to you, but it's not okay if you're trying to put what you feel true to you onto other people.
So what I gather out of this,
that opens up a whole new type of perception. It's no longer is it perception. It's actually the fact and the truth, like you were saying.
What I gather out of this, and feel free to correct me if I'm misinterpreting here at all. But something tells me that I can't wait to see it. I don't know what you're talking about, Frank. That I'm pretty accurate with this. But the moral of the story is that no matter how passionately you feel about water towers,
yeah,
it probably not the best thing to share in the world. However, if you are going to write about water towers, there is no need to tell people that water towers make a great lookout spot for locating area homeless people to throw spoons at. Like again, just to get it straight. That's what we're saying.
Like what I'm saying is, if you are trying to figure out better ways to have a better vantage view for homeless people in order to spot them and throw spoons at them, I think that's a fantastic thing if you're really interested in it. But
some people are
going on to
asking for a friend,
going on to Good Morning America and telling all about your fascinating activities on how you climb up water towers and with high-powered binoculars looking around local places for homeless people, that might not be the best idea. The best way to get your viewpoint out if you really feel the need to, I think, would be to go on to, like, I don't know, like a forum or some kind of place.
One of those ones for the crazy people.
Yes, I really believe that.
Where they talk about the disc Earth.
You know what? Create the flat Earth.
Talk to those people. Yeah.
I think you're best. Maybe or create a website. Towers.
That's a perfect segue into
water towers for viewing homelesspeople.com.
Right there. Really. Perfect segue into our sponsor that we don't have. We don't have a sponsor. No sponsors. But if you want to sponsor us, do it.
Hey, we're gonna be famous one day. That's all
Pay
I
us
say. But like
money to do things.
But like I'm saying, like it's just your own perception is your own perception. But please, just I think you might maybe just keeping it to yourself might be the better idea.
To bring it back around to somewhat seriousness, it's not such a terrible idea to keep things to yourself. Every once in a while.
Especially like I don't like the idea of like all the social norms and stuff. I think it's kind of like what really is a social norm. But if you're trying to avoid being ridiculed by mass amounts of people,
there are certain things the rest of the world doesn't need to know about.
Exactly. Like here I actually have a pretty good example of this. If you're someone named Ben Carson, maybe showing people the picture of the mural that you have of you next to Jesus might not be the best thing that people should see.
I feel like most of what Ben Carson showed the world were things that people didn't need to see.
Oh, well, yes, and they were only magnified by a Mr. Donald Trump, but
it's he definitely put them all into his own context. I'll put it that way.
Kooky Ben or whatever whatever you used to describe him.
I don't even remember what it was for Ben.
I think it was. I will look it up.
Some as ever clever nickname for
as Crooked Hillary. I think it's
Crooked Hillary. You got Crazy Bernie, Lion Ted.
Yeah, Lion Ted, Little Marco. That's my favorite one. I think that's my favorite one. I really like.
Oh, that's solid.
I can't find it.
You got Carson's? It's not coming up. All right.
I'm having trouble finding it, but
that's fair.
We'll go back to it later. I'm sure.
So again, just to just to clarify, to digress. In conclusion, your application is your application. Do what you want with it.
Yeah.
But maybe don't do anything you want with it. Maybe be a little smart about it.
Yeah.
There are certain things you don't hit. In my opinion, there are certain things you don't share with the world. Definitely. And then even if you have shared them with the world, you don't share them with like your college. Again, talking about like videos or website or something like that. And then there are probably things that you just shouldn't even mention about yourself. But things, as I say, things. There are certainly things better left unsaid. I think is probably like the note to hit on.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's like kind of it.
No, I'm with you there. I think that's probably the best way to go about your life if you want to proceed with any amount of success. But in the event that is not working for you and you are still not achieving all of your desired successes from that bit of advice alone, well, then I'll tell you what you also need to do, and that is to continue to listen to the Political Inaccuracy Podcast, because they're great. They're going to give you so much great advice on how to live your life and things to do and things not to do, and also probably great ideas for comedy sketches. Honestly, not going to lie, if anybody wants to turn that frog spoon thing into into like an actual piece of art, talk to me. We're going to make it happen. We'll make it happen.
I mean, we submit it to we'll take it, submit it right to Saturday Night Live. We'll make a couple appearances on it too.
I would love to see what Norm Macdonald could do with frog spoons.
I really think they could turn it into something special.
I think he's got a knack for frogs and spoons. Something tells me that Norm Macdonald.
Just a little hunch.
But yeah, I got this feeling. But anyway, yes, please. I mean, we do sincerely hope that you enjoyed whatever this is, whatever you want to call this. Actually, I do. I think this is a pretty good discussion. As I said, it's hopefully going to be a little bit more fun than some of our original ones. Of course, there's going to be a serious tone, and some of the topics we address will be very serious, not quite as comical. But we're going to try to have some fun in here where we can. And of course, it's not really fun for us if it's not fun for you. So at any point, audience participation completely allowed. Please respond. Most of the episodes are going to be like relatively sequential. Like we'll address some of what we talked about in the previous episode, the next one. So anything you have to say will definitely be incorporated into the conversation. I mean, we're going to have portions of our show where we dedicate it specifically to audience feedback. So
Yep.
Absolutely, we'd like to hear everything from you. And again, just let us know what you think about the show in general, what you'd like to see, any comments or again feedback to any capacity. Please feel free to drop them in the comments below. If you happen to know either of us personally, reach us through whichever means you would be comfortable doing that. And again, we'd love to incorporate everything you have to offer, as well as we'd genuinely like to make the show as enjoyable for all of you as possible. So I don't know, Frank, if you've got anything else you'd like to add.
In terms of like the comment app?
You're on the end. No. Just in conclusion.
Oh, I mean, no, you wrapped it up pretty well, I think.
Brilliant. Awesome. Okay. Follow our Instagram. I think we have one of those. I honestly don't. We did before. I don't know if we still do. I have to check. But I'm going to tell you to follow it anyway. If it's a thing, it's going to be in the description. If it's not a thing, well, then I guess you're going to waste 30 seconds of your life looking for it. That's okay. Because you already wasted nearly an hour and a half of it listening to this, which is a decision that you quite possibly regret at this point in time. But that's okay, because I think I do too. No, again, in all seriousness, this has been really fun. And again, we hope to see you all next time. And just allow me this one last opportunity to thank again Frank Firneno for coming on, for stepping up, for doing this, for being here, and for putting up with me, which is not an easy thing to do. I will be the first to admit that. I can't stand myself most of the times, so I don't know how other people do.
I think I figured it out. To be honest, I don't mean to make you seem simple, but I figured it out.
Oh, it's an acquired skill.
It's a way of not only dealing, but reversing it to where you have to deal with me, which makes it just as hard. But that's just me.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So, again, we really hope you all enjoyed this. Episode maybe a week after this goes up. I don't know. These are probably going to go up on like Sundays or something like that. That just seems like convenient. And hopefully from when this goes up, we should have another episode ready to go next Sunday after the release of this one. So keep an eye out for that. Again, I'll try to put some information up onto the Instagram about that sort of stuff, just so you can stay aware. But again, I'm not going to make any promises because we're not good at keeping those.
I mean, like Deaglan said again, please just comment. We love having your feedback. Like when we have your feedback, we can make the show better, I think. You agree with that? I mean,
it's true, absolutely. And the first question to answer, the most important question to answer, is at what episode limit do we have to hit for Frank's title to be converted to assistant regional host as opposed to assistant to the regional host? That'll be the question of the day. Answer that, and we'll figure it out, and we'll establish at some point what bar Frank needs to hit, and we'll throw like a party for him, and all of you are invited, something like that.
Of course. Yeah.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We hope to see you again. Goodbye.